Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, September the 9th. We're going to break down these two games, Game 6 between Toronto and Boston, and then Game 4 between the Clippers and the Nuggets. We'll break down this two-game slate, talk about point guard. We'll start off there, work our way through the player pool. I'll hit on all the guys that I like today. Looking at the slate on Tuesday night, just giving you guys some of my early thoughts, what I see the night before. We'll run through the DraftKings player pool. We'll talk about all the guys I like on DraftKings. We'll hit on some players that I do like over on Yahoo as well. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new here, I am uploading NBA content every single day to this YouTube channel. I've been getting up NFL videos as well the last few days. My Week 1 first look video went up on Monday. My video for the shut-on slate on Thursday night, for Thursday Night Football, that video went up on Tuesday. I'll have my full Week 1 breakdown go up either Thursday or Friday. I'll also have a video for the Monday night shut-on slate. I will have that probably Sunday night most likely. I do have a ton of NFL content coming out right now along with NBA content, and I'm still posting MLB stuff on Patreon as well. I do want to let you guys know, if you're someone that checked out the Patreon before, I did make some pretty big changes to the Patreon. If you checked it out before, you knew that I had a starter pack. I had an advanced package for each sport that you could get access to. I did have a package where you could access all sports. Well, I've changed everything now. I deleted all those packages, and I just have one membership tier. It's $20 per month. I thought this was a very good price, for all the content I provide. It used to be $35 per month to get access to all the content I provide on Patreon. It's now $20 per month. This gives you access to all of my NFL, NBA, and MLB content. It also gets you into the Discord chat that, it's filled with about 150 to 200 people just talking DFS throughout the day. I'm always in Discord throughout the day to answer any questions as well, to talk through the slate. So definitely check out the Patreon. I did make some changes here. I only have one tier available now. It gives you access to everything I provide on Patreon. With there being so many sports going on right now, with NBA kind of finishing up, but we still got the playoffs. MLB, their regular season's finishing up. The playoffs will be starting soon. NFL, right around the corner. It'll be starting this week. Just so many sports going on right now. I do want to allow everyone to view my content, for all sports, whether that's NFL, NBA, MLB. Those are the three sports I do cover on Patreon. I wanted everyone to be able to view everything rather than having, an NBA package or MLB package or an NBA or MLB, NBA, NFL. I didn't want to have a package for each different sports. I just want everyone to have access to everything. So that's why, I created this new tier. $20 per month gives you access to everything, plus the Discord chat. You can read through it, see all that I have to offer if you would like. You can check out the Patreon. It is linked down below in the description. If you were a member before, you can check out the new package. Maybe if that's something that interests you, you can check that out, linked down below in the description. I do provide, articles every day, at least Monday through Friday for NBA and MLB. I will have an article for the Week 1 NFL slate that'll go up on Saturday. I'm giving core plays, every day for NFL, or at least for the main slate. I'll have those posted Sunday morning for NFL, but every day, I'm giving MLB core plays. I'm giving NBA core plays over there. So definitely check out the Patreon link down below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And let's go ahead and start off at point guard today. So at the top, we got Jamal Murray, 8,600 on DraftKings here. Coming off a pretty disappointing game, last game in Game 3. He got off to a pretty good start, I believe, but kind of cooled down in the second half. Or it might have been the other way around. I can't honestly remember. Finished with 36 DK points, though, in 38 minutes. We know Jamal Murray has upside. He's shown big-time upside in that Utah series. This has obviously been a much tougher matchup for him, though. He really hasn't been able to get it going in this series. We've seen Jokic really kind of dominate so far against this Clippers team, and I really like Jokic once again. Murray's probably not going to be someone I play too much of today. I just prefer the other guys. Lowry, VanVleet, Walker. These are guys I've been playing over Jamal Murray, and I think that's going to continue today. I was very high on Kyle Lowry on the last slate, and he completely crapped the bed. Pretty much everyone from Toronto was terrible last game. They lost by almost 30 points. They lost by 22 points. They got blown out. Lowry only played 34 minutes, which is very low for him. He normally plays, 10 more minutes than that. He usually plays about 44 to 45 minutes. Just 34 last game. They got blown out. Lowry was terrible. VanVleet wasn't great either. Pretty much Siakam was bad as well. if you had any Raptors last slate, it probably hurt you. If you faded that game, you probably did really well last slate. Me personally, I did not. I had a ton of exposure to it, so I took the beating. But I'm going to be back on Kyle Lowry. Obviously they're not going to get blown out again, and if they do, well, just so be it. But you would expect a close game here. I mean, right now the spread is at 3 points, so Vegas is expecting a close game. I really like Lowry at 8,200. We've seen the kind of upside he has when he's playing, 44 to 45 minutes. This is an elimination game for them. Right now Boston's up 3-2. They're going to play Lowry. Probably, if I had to guess, Lowry might play the whole game, honestly. He might play 48 minutes today. I really like Kyle Lowry at 8,200. I'm going to be, pretty heavy on him once again. I'm not going to let the blowout scare me off of him today. Just because he had a bad game last game, you shouldn't be off him today. Lowry is once again a great play, just like he was on the last slate. And although it didn't work out, I'm going to be back on him today. So really like Kyle Lowry. On the other side, Kemba Walker is someone I've been on a ton. I definitely like him once again. He played 36 minutes last game in that blowout win. Was pretty productive with 38 DraftKings points in 36 minutes. We've seen the kind of upside that Kemba has. He's playing huge minutes now. Very likely, if this game is close, you're going to get about 40 minutes from Kemba, maybe even more than that. He's shown that he can be very productive when he gets the minutes. He's just looked much better than he did during the seeding games and during the beginning of the playoffs. He's just completely turned a corner. Looks healthy right now. I like Kemba a lot at 8,100. You can pair him up with Kyle Lowry. I'm definitely going to be doing that in a ton of lineups today. I haven't really been playing Walker as much on DraftKings because, he is pretty expensive. He's 8,100. He is $600 less than Fred VanVleet. But I still do like Walker here at 8,100 on DK. And Yahoo, that's where I really like Kemba. $29. I think that is a very nice price tag for him. I mean, with him playing, 38 to 40 minutes, it's very unlikely that he disappoints at this price unless he just has a completely terrible shooting game, which normally doesn't happen. Kemba, he came out and said, he wanted to be more aggressive last game, and that was the case. He took 15 shots, didn't shoot that well from three, just 16% from just 1 for 6 from three, but still was able to contribute, with 21 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 block, 38 DK points. Like, Kemba easily can go for 45 to 50, now that he's playing upwards of 40 minutes. So I really like him a lot. Fred VanVleet I also like a ton. His price tag started to come down a bit because he's been pretty disappointing, not going to lie. Been under 40 DraftKings points in 4 straight games. I mean, just hasn't really been getting the job done. But we know the kind of upside that Fred VanVleet has. We know he is going to play. Like Lowry, there's a good chance that Fred VanVleet maybe plays the whole game here because it is an elimination game for them. They need to win this game to keep their, chances of winning this series alive to maybe repeat as a champion. So I really like Fred VanVleet. I like that the price tag came down as well. That makes him really appealing. I still prefer Lowry because I think Lowry maybe gives you a bit more upside. Lowry's had the higher usage rate lately. But definitely, both guys are great plays on this 2-game slate. I've been playing both a ton. You can play them in the same lineup. I have no problems with that at all. I know it didn't work out, on the last slate, but we're not going to expect Boston to win by 20 again. We should see a close game here. If this game stays close, guys like Lowry, VanVleet, you're definitely going to want to have in some lineups, and you're going to want to have some, Kemba, Jaylen Brown, those guys. We'll talk about Jaylen Brown in a second. I like him as well, but that's where I'm really trying to go at point guard today. Kyle Lowry, Kemba, VanVleet, those 3 guys. The 3 guys I've pretty much been on every slate so far. The 3 guys I like once again. Marcus Smart's fine, but at 6,500, he feels a little bit too expensive on DraftKings for me. Yahoo, I think that's where he's the most appealing. I pretty much said it every slate. He did come up $1, up to $20, but Marcus Smart can still, pay off a $20 salary. He's getting about 35 to 40 minutes as well. Closer to 40 minutes in close games. In that blowout, he only played 34 minutes. Most games you expect about 38, close to 40 for Marcus Smart. As a fantasy producer, he's not great. Doesn't produce that high compared to guys like Kemba, Jaylen Brown, but you're going to get big minutes from Marcus Smart. At shooting guard on Yahoo, just $20. I think that's where I like him the most today. Probably won't have too much of him on DraftKings. Lou Will, I'm not the biggest fan of Lou Will at 5,800. Just really hasn't been getting the job done. Playing 28, close to 30 minutes, but still loses a lot of usage playing alongside Kawhi, playing alongside PG. We know one of those 2 guys are going to be on the floor at all times. They're going to play huge minutes. I'm not a big fan of Lou Will. I haven't really been playing him much recently, and I'm probably not going to be on him today. In lineup, or I think, at point guard for me on DraftKings, it's Lowry, it's Walker, it's Van Vliet. If I was going to go cheap, I definitely like Patrick Beverley as a cheap option at 3,600. I do want to mention him. So he's been having his minutes limited, so far in this series because he did come back from injury. Last game, he got up to 21 minutes, though. Played pretty well, at least for fantasy. He put up a solid game with 20 DraftKings points in those 21 minutes. Beverley normally is not a great fantasy producer, doesn't produce that well on a point-per-minute basis, but he is one of those guys that can just give you a little bit of everything. Like we saw last game, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. Like, that is your typical Patrick Beverley line. He's not going to go out there and knock down 8 threes, but he can knock down a couple threes, get you a couple rebounds, get you a couple assists. We know Beverley is a pesky defender. He can get those defensive stats. I don't really know how many minutes he plays today. Given that he got up to 21 last game, I think there's a good possibility you see him maybe get up to about 23 to 25 minutes today. He is still very cheap on DraftKings at 3,600. Right now, we don't have a ton of value, but that could maybe change if Serge Ibaka winds up out. That is some news we're going to have to keep an eye on. So for now, I don't mind plugging in Beverley as a early look value. We could maybe change that depending on if Ibaka sits. But for now, I do like Beverley quite a bit. Hopefully, we'll get some update, on what his minutes are going to look like. I expect he probably plays about 23, 25 minutes if I had to guess, but I guess, we'll just have to wait and see. We should get an update there. I think they did come out and say last game that he was going to be limited to like 18 to 20 minutes, and he played 21, so good chance he sees at least a few more minutes today because his minutes, they have been trending up each game. I think he played like 12 minutes in the first game, 15 minutes in the second game, then 21 last game, so, they've been trending up. Should get about 23 to 24 today, if I had to guess. But I think that's probably it for point guard. I don't see much here, that I really want to go to besides Beverley. Brad Wanamaker, he got 28 minutes last game, but I think a lot of that had to do with the blowout. I don't really want to chase that. Reggie Jackson just not getting enough minutes. I mean, he barely played last game. Same with Landry Shamet. Like, these were guys that I was playing when Beverley was out, but, now that Beverley's active, I don't really want to go to them. I know PJ Dozier, he was out there late in the game last game, but still only played 10 minutes, so I don't really want to go there. Or at least I thought I saw PJ Dozier on the court. I guess I was wrong. So he didn't play at all last game. Scratch that. I think, at point guard, if I'm playing a cheap guy here, it's for sure going to be, Patrick Beverley. So let's move on to shooting guard now. So you got PG for 8,500. PG's someone I really haven't been on lately. He's been better, though. He's definitely improved. Last 2 games, 44 and 48 DraftKings points. Getting big minutes as well. 42 minutes, 40 minutes. I think I still prefer guys like Lowry and Van Vliet and Kemba over Paul George, though. I just think they give you a little bit more upside. We've seen Lowry. He's probably, like I said, I think Lowry probably plays close to 48 minutes today. I think there's a good possibility that Lowry plays the whole game if it's a close game. So for that reason, I do prefer Lowry over PG, but PG for sure viable on this 2-game slate. I think I would prefer Paul George over Jamal Murray. Jaylen Brown, though, I do have some interest in. He was actually really good last game. He was one of the few Celtics that did really well. 41 DraftKings points in 37 minutes. He did shoot the ball pretty well from the field, but Jaylen Brown's going to score. I mean, without Gordon Hayward, we know where the offensive production is coming from in Boston. It's coming from their 3 main guys, Kemba, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. So I expect, 38 to 40 minutes from Jaylen Brown. He is definitely viable, especially on Yahoo. That's where I've been playing him the most recently. He's only $27. He is $5 less than Fred VanVleet, whereas on DraftKings, Jaylen Brown is actually more expensive than Fred VanVleet. So I think on DraftKings, I'd rather play VanVleet. I think on Yahoo, I would rather take the savings and play Brown. That's just my opinion there. Both guys are great plays, though. I will definitely have a lot of exposure to both, Brown and VanVleet. We talked about Marcus Smart and Lou Will. Marcus Smart, I think he's okay on Yahoo, but DraftKings, I probably won't be playing him at that salary. Gary Harris is someone that I do like as a value play today. We saw him get up to 35 minutes last game, which was a big increase. He played 24 minutes in the first game of the series. Then he saw his minutes increase up to 29, and then he got 35 last game. He was very productive. He did kind of get lucky with 4 steals, but still contributed with 10 points, 1 rebound, 6 assists. Finished with 28 DraftKings points in those 35 minutes. My best guess is we probably get 36, maybe 38 minutes from Gary Harris today. He played really well last game. It seems like they want to give him big minutes. It seems like he's fully healthy now. He's someone that can defend very well. They can use him defensively against Paul George and against Kawhi Leonard. So I do like Gary Harris as a value at 4,600. This is another guy that isn't a great point-per-minute player, But if he's going to be playing upwards of, mid 30s, high 30s in minutes, and he's, under 5K, then I do like him as a value option on DraftKings. He is very cheap on Yahoo as well. He's only $12 over there. So I definitely like Gary Harris on Yahoo too. I think he continues to get the big minutes. Will he get 4 steals again? Will he score close to 30 DraftKings points again? I'm not exactly sure, but if he's going to be playing 36 to 38 minutes and he's only 4,600, I think that makes him a pretty good value option. On these 2-game slates where we don't have much value to begin with, getting guys this cheap that are going to play big minutes, that's really what I look for. So I do like Gary Harris a lot as a punt option. Norman Powell is someone I want to talk about. So last game he got 31 minutes. I think he might have benefited from the blowout. I'm not exactly sure. He finished with 22 DraftKings points. I will definitely be keeping my eye on the Serge Ibaka news, because if Ibaka winds up out, I think Chris Boucher is going to become a really good value. Boucher should get some more minutes, and he is very, very cheap. Marc Gasol should solidify himself, or that should solidify Gasol for, at least about 25 to 26 minutes. But I think we're going to see a lot of, lineups where they use Siakam at center, because that's something they can do when Ibaka's not on the floor. They can play Siakam at center. We're probably going to see their closing lineup, assuming Ibaka is out. Their closing lineup could very well be Kyle Lowry at point guard, Van Vliet at shooting guard, Norman Powell at small forward, and then they shift OG down to the 4. Like, that is definitely a lineup that they can do. OG can guard Jason Tatum, so I think if Ibaka winds up out, that is actually a pretty big boost for Norman Powell. That should, increase his minutes in my opinion. Boucher is going to be the guy that everyone flocks to, but Norman Powell will actually get he should get a lot more run if Ibaka winds up out, because they can just, move their lineup around. They can get Norman Powell into the lineup with, Ibaka out. They can play Siakam at the 5. They can shift everyone down. So I definitely like Norman Powell as a value play today. If Ibaka winds up out, he will become a really good value, in my opinion, at 3,900. He will definitely be someone I'll be keeping my eye on, as a cheap option. Really no one else, though, that I want to go to at shooting guard, besides, Harris as a value and Powell as a value. So moving on to small forward. At the top here, you got Kawhi, you got Jason Tatum, 2 guys that I think are obviously great plays on this slate. If I had to choose one, I think I would prefer Kawhi, just because Kawhi feels a bit more safer. Kawhi's playing 40 to 42 minutes. Jason Tatum is also playing 40 to 42 minutes. But Kawhi's just giving you such a high floor. Even in his bad games, Kawhi is still giving you like 40 to 45 DraftKings points. And we know he has, that 55, 60, 65 point ceiling. He went for 71, in game 6 against Dallas. Like, Kawhi definitely has upside. At 10,300, he's expensive, but we could maybe have some value on the slate if Ibaka winds up out. That could make it easier to get to a guy like Kawhi. So if I'm playing up at small forward, I think I do prefer Kawhi over Jason Tatum. Tatum is fine, though. For 9,300, you are getting some savings there. You can play Tatum if you would like. I just think, if I had to choose one, I'd go to Kawhi. We mentioned Jaylen Brown. I do like him. OG at 5,700. Probably won't be too heavy on him today. I've kind of been off OG now that his price tag is up. He only played 26 minutes last game, but, obviously he lost minutes last game because of blowout. Even in the games where OG's playing big minutes and he gets like close to 40 minutes, you still don't know what you're going to get in terms of production from him. He's not a very good point per minute player. He's a very low usage player. He's not going to do much playing alongside guys like Lowry and Van Vliet and Siakam. Like, even in game 4 where OG played 35 minutes, he still only had 22 DraftKings points. Like, that is a legit possibility. Like, he can easily put up 20 DK points in 40 minutes. He's done it, times and times again. So for 5,700, if I'm going to play guys that are going to play big, like low usage players that are going to play big minutes, I would rather just play guys that are cheaper. For example, Gary Harris. I think Gary Harris and, OG are very similar. Pretty low usage players, not guys that produce at a high rate. But Harris is $1,000 less, and he's probably going to play at least close to the minutes that OG does. Maybe he sees a few less minutes. But for 4,600, I'd take the savings and play someone like him. Even Jeremy Grant, Jeremy Grant, not a great point per minute player. We saw that last game. Only scored 15 DraftKings points in 42 minutes. But Jeremy Grant is locked into big minutes right now. Like, he's going to play 40 to 42 minutes. If it's a close game, he's going to be out there for over 40 minutes if I had to guess. In terms of production, like, you never know what you're going to get from Jeremy Grant. He's a low usage player, not going to do much playing alongside, Jamal Murray, playing alongside Jokic. But he's 5,100 and he's going to play 40 minutes. So that makes him viable in my opinion. Michael Porter had a very good game last game, shot incredibly well from the field. Only played 23 minutes, though. I don't think I'm going to chase this Michael Porter game. I know he put up 40 DraftKings points. I know he has that kind of upside in him, but we still don't know what his minutes are going to look like. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to playing 15 minutes. We just never know here. When it comes to Mike Malone, Malone will play Porter 25 minutes one game, then he'll play him 15 the next, then he'll play him 10 the next game, then he'll play him 35 the next game. You just never really know here. It's really risky. Porter is still somewhat cheap at 5,200, so at least I think there's, some potential to roster him, but I have a good feeling that a lot of people are probably going to go to Porter today because he is coming off a big game, and I just think I'd rather go to someone like Jeremy Grant, who I know, Jeremy Grant's not a great point per minute player, but he's going to play probably twice the amount of minutes that Michael Porter will play. So for that reason, I'd rather play Grant, at 5,100 over someone like MPJ. Even a guy like Marcus Morris, I know he didn't put up a great game last game, but he is locked into 34 to 35 minutes a night. Very similar to Jeremy Grant, not going to produce great alongside Kawhi, alongside PG, but still, you're getting a guy for 4,900 that's going to play 34 to 36 minutes. That makes him a viable option on a two-game slate, in my opinion. So Grant, Morris, those are two guys I like. Those are two guys I've been on, a lot recently. I definitely have interest in them today. And then like we said earlier, if Ibaka winds up out, feel free to get some Norman Powell into your lineups because I think Norman Powell will become a very good, sneaky value play if Ibaka winds up out. And I don't think a lot of people are going to go to Powell. If Ibaka gets ruled out, I think a lot of people are going to play Gasol. A lot of people are going to play Chris Boucher. But this is actually a pretty big boost for Powell, if he winds up out. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and move on to power forward. So at the top here, Pascal Siakam, 7,800. Siakam, not really someone I've been playing much on DraftKings. Obviously he was terrible last game, but I'm not really going to look too much into that. Was dealing with foul trouble. The blowout didn't help either. Siakam is someone you can definitely play today. If I'm going to play him, though, I've said this time and time again, it's going to be over on Yahoo. He's only $31 there. His price tag actually did come down a bit. We know Siakam is going to play, upwards of 40 minutes if it's a close game. The power forward position is incredibly weak on Yahoo. There's really no $10 guys that I like. You're probably not going to play JaMychal Green. He got 26 minutes in Game 3, but then just played 14 minutes last game. I doubt I really want to go to him. So if you look at power forward on Yahoo, you really only have 4 playable options. You're either playing Siakam, Marcus Morris, Jeremy Grant, or Paul Millsap. Really nobody else is in consideration for me. So for that reason, I've said it time and time again, Siakam's going to be in some of my Yahoo lineups just because the position is so thin. But on DraftKings, where you have, multi-position eligibility, guys that are small forward eligible can be played at power forward. For example, like a Jeremy Grant, a Marcus Morris, even Millsap, Tice. For that reason, I don't expect to play too much Siakam on DraftKings today. I think I'd just, rather get to him over on Yahoo. Daniel Tice is someone that I like, though. 5,400 on DraftKings. He did put up a pretty good game last game. 30 DraftKings points in 30 minutes. 15 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks. I've been playing Tice a lot recently, especially on Yahoo, and I like him over there once again. He's still pretty cheap. They did bump his price up $1 to $16, but that's still too cheap in my opinion. He's the same price as Montrezl Harrell. He's only $1 more than Zubac. I definitely like Daniel Tice once again on Yahoo. It's just really hard to get away from him at this salary. Even if he somewhat disappoints and only gives you like 25 fantasy points, that's still really not killing you at a $16 salary. And Tice has shown he can easily get 30, 35 fantasy points, now that he's locked into about 30 minutes a night. I have to assume that he plays, close to 30 minutes a day. They've been giving him about, 25 to 30 minutes. They're going to need his size against Gasol and against Siakam. If Ibaka plays, obviously Ibaka will be out there a lot, and they'll need his size against Ibaka as well. So I'm going to keep playing Daniel Tice on Yahoo. I just think he's still a little bit too cheap over there. He should be around like $20 in my opinion, close to Ibaka. I think they're still leaving him a bit too cheap. So I do like him on Yahoo. And on DraftKings, you can for sure play Tice as well. 5,400, has power forward eligibility. I do have a good amount of interest in him on DK. But other than that, we talked about Grant, Morris, two guys I do like once again. Paul Millsap, I like as well. His minutes seem to be pretty secure right now. Played 28 last game, 32 the game before that, 24 in a blowout. Seems like he's going to get close to 30 minutes a night, if not more. I know he wasn't productive last game, but Millsap is normally a guy that can give you close to a fantasy point per minute. At 4,800, if he's going to play around 30 minutes, very similar to Jeremy Grant. Millsap is a slightly more productive player than Grant, But I do like both guys. Grant, I feel more secure about his minutes, but Millsap at 4,800 is for sure in play as a cheap power forward if you are looking to go cheap here. And I do want to mention one more guy. Chris Boucher is minimum salary. He's $3K. If Serge Ibaka winds up out, I don't think we're going to get a ton of minutes from Boucher. Most likely around 15, 18 minutes, maybe close to 20. Last game he played 12 minutes. I think he got some run and blowout, but he's been in the rotation recently. Even with Ibaka healthy, they still have been giving Boucher a little bit of minutes. I think if Ibaka winds up out, we should see around, I would say 16 to 18 minutes from Boucher, which isn't a ton, but you guys know that Boucher is an incredibly productive player when he gets minutes. He's the minimum salary on DraftKings. He has power forward and center eligibility. He is definitely going to make it into some of my DraftKings lineups if Ibaka winds up out. Now on Yahoo, I think I would probably not go there. He is minimum salary on Yahoo, but he's also at center. You have to use up one of your center spots. Minimum salary on Yahoo and minimum salary on DraftKings are kind of two different things. Like, for example, Marc Gasol is also minimum salary on Yahoo, so I would just play Marc Gasol if I was going to play a $10 center. Boucher, though, on DraftKings at 3K, for sure going to be on him, if Ibaka winds up out. I don't think he plays big minutes, but he should get at least close to 20, and that's probably enough for Boucher with how high upside of a player he is. Like, this is a guy that can just go out there and crush, even in limited minutes, can do a little bit of everything, can score, can get rebounds, can block shots as well. So, yeah, I think we covered power forward. We'll run through center real quick just before we end the video. So at the top, Nikola Jokic. You can tell by the thumbnail. I love Nikola Jokic once again. I've been on him pretty much every slate so far in this series, and I like him once again. The price tag is coming up, but I think that might honestly keep the ownership down a little bit. He's up to $9,900 on DraftKings. Still pretty affordable on Yahoo at $43. He is coming in $6 less than Kawhi Leonard over on Yahoo, so I definitely like Jokic over there as well. So after a slow start in Game 1, Jokic looked much more like himself the last two games. 61 and 60 DraftKings points. Nearly triple-doubled last game. Was just 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Playing big minutes as well. 37 minutes in Game 2, 39 minutes in Game 3. If this game stays close, I expect around 40 minutes from Jokic. He's my favorite pay-up option on the slate once again. This is just such a good matchup for Jokic. The Clippers don't have anyone down low that can slow him down. They have really good wing defenders like Paul George, like Kawhi Leonard. They have a good pesky defender that can, like Patrick Beverley, that can defend Jamal Murray. But they really have no, rim protector like Rudy Gobert that the Jazz have. They don't have a Rudy Gobert. They don't have, a big center that could slow down Jokic. They have Zubac, but Zubac doesn't really stand a chance. Harrell is too small against Jokic. Jokic should continue to dominate. Just need the game to stay close. If it does, and we're going to get, around 40 minutes from Jokic, he's my favorite pay-up option on the slate once again. I just think he has so much upside. Now that he's locked into big minutes, Jokic can drop 60, 70 DraftKings points any night, when he's playing close to 40 minutes, especially in this matchup. So I love Jokic at center. Talked about Tyson Millsap, who I like. Ibaka, a questionable guy here that we'll need to keep an eye on. We talked about if he's out, I think that benefits Marc Gasol. I think that benefits Chris Boucher, and that also benefits Norman Powell. If Ibaka plays, his price did come down on DraftKings, but I still don't have a ton of interest in him. I just don't feel too confident in him right now. He hasn't looked great the last few games. There could be, some concerns. Even if he plays here, is he going to be 100%? We don't really know. I'd probably just feel a little bit better, dropping down to someone like Tice or even Millsap. Zubac's a guy that I've been on a lot recently, but probably going to be a little bit underweight on him today. I'm sure he's going to go out there and crush, because I'm not as high on him, but he just hasn't been getting it done recently. The minutes haven't been as high as I would like either. He did foul out last game in 22 minutes. I assume, though, if he only plays probably 23 to 25 minutes anyways, that's really all he needs. We've seen Zubac can go out there and put up 30 DraftKings points in 25 minutes. So he's still viable. I just think at center, I really like Tice. I think I'd honestly prefer Paul Millsap today. We talked about Jokic, who I want to try and pay up for. Even Marc Gasol could be viable. Gasol is very cheap at $4,100. If Ibaka were to sit, I would have to assume, Gasol plays at least 23 to 25 minutes. I'm not saying Gasol is going to go out there and play 35 minutes. That's just not going to happen. They can run Siakam at the 5. They don't have to play Marc Gasol. But Ibaka was getting around 22 minutes a game, off the bench. I think a good amount of those minutes would go, you'd probably see about, if I had to guess, 8 of those minutes will go to Norman Powell. Probably 5 of them will go to, Marc Gasol, and then probably, the other 7, 8, 9 minutes will probably go to Chris Boucher. just in my opinion, I think that's the way they distribute those minutes. So Marc Gasol, 4,100. If Ibaka winds up out, he definitely becomes a cheap center that you can use. And then as we just said earlier, if you want to play Chris Boucher, he's definitely in play for me if Ibaka winds up out. $3K on DraftKings, minimum salary. For sure going to be a guy that I look to, especially because, he has power forward eligibility. You got a lot of flexibility with how you can roster him. You can play him at power forward. You can play him at center. You can play him at the forward spot. You can play him in the util. It just makes it much easier to get to a guy like Boucher. Robert Williams, I know he's been getting somewhere around mid-teens minutes, but on this slate, I don't think I'm going to go to him at 3,700. Only played 9 minutes last game. Just hard to trust right now. Just not getting enough minutes. I'd rather play, if Ibaka winds up out, I'd rather just punt the position and play Boucher at minimum salary. So I think that's my thoughts there, guys. I think we broke everything down for center, and I think we broke everything down for this 2-game slate. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button down below. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to check out, the Patreon, see all that I have to offer over there. I do have a new tier now. $20 per month gives you access to all of my content on Patreon, all my NFL content, all my NBA content, everything for MLB that I provide as well. Also, you will be able to join our Discord chat by becoming a Patreon member. So check that out, link down below. See all that I have to offer over there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.